Welcome to For the Love of It, TAFE New South Wales sessions. I'm your host, Steph Pappas, and on this special edition, all our guests share a common pathway that TAFE New South Wales have supported their dreams. We'd like to acknowledge the traditional custodians of this land, the Gadigal people of Eora Nation. We pay our respect to elders past, present and emerging.
Hello.
Welcome to For the Love of It, TAFE New South Wales session. I'm Steph Pappas, your host, and I'm here today with Nicholas Huxley, who began his journey in the fashion industry in 1973, actually the same year I was born, enrolling in the fashion design course at East Sydney Technical College, now known as TAFE New South Wales Fashion Design Studio. His early years in the industry laid a strong foundation, which he later channeled into a distinguished teaching career at the same institution. From the beginning of his teaching to his retirement as head teacher in 2018, Nicholas has been a guiding force and a mentor for so many notable designers in our Australian industry. Alex Perry, Nikki Zimmerman, Romance was born. I mean,
Dion Lee.
Dion Lee,
they go on
Lisa
and on
Ho,
and
it goes
on,
on,
know,
and the costume designer, Janet Patterson.
who's in my class with me. Yeah.
Okay. Nicholas' career is filled with many colourful achievements, and he's an extraordinary soul. It actually means so much to me personally to have this interview in this series, because I personally had my own experience with Nicholas. So please welcome Nicholas Huxley to For the Love of It.
Hello, how
Hi,
are
Nicholas,
you?
how are you?
Thanks for all that. It's like this is your life.
This is your life.
Yes. No, great pleasure to be here with you, darling.
What an extraordinary life. Let's go back. You grew up in Papua New Guinea.
I was born and brought up there,
Yeah, tell us about because your parents were quite artistic.
My dad was up there during the war, World War II, realised that there was something special about it. Of course, Lae in New Guinea got bombed very badly, and then when he came back here, he just realised that that's where he wanted to go back to and help rebuild it. Married my mum in 1948 and they went straight back. And then he ended up studying the newspaper, the Times Courier, and mum had been a model in Sydney, etc. And then what happened was that she ended up working as a correspondent for the ABC. And like they had 5 sons up there, and
you're one of 5, aren't you?
I'm
In the
middle of 5 boys.
Yeah.
Middle of 5 boys.
Sandwiched in between.
And a fabulous life because Dad having the newspaper and mum being a correspondent. Our house ended up being the hub of parties, always parties. So I grew up in a household of partying and dancing with my mother when I was 3 years of age, and it was a great life, fabulous life.
When was in that childhood that you knew fashion was something you wanted to pursue? Was there a moment?
Because I always took note of what my mum was wearing.
Okay.
In those days, it was almost like an online thing where clothes would be sent up to New Guinea, and my mum had organised a great bunch of girls to model, and they would do the rounds modelling clothes, and invite everybody. They'd go all over the place, and then mum would end up buying the things that she loved. So she had the most extraordinary, beautiful clothes. You remember the sack? Yeah. Remember the sack, the potato sack? Well, mum was the first one up there to buy it and wear it. And she had beautiful shoes, just beautiful clothes. And she'd always call me in and ask me, she was going somewhere, what do you think of this, what do you think of that? I had no say in it. She just asked me to come in and, be her confidant before she went out somewhere. And a lot of the time we were very lucky that mum never left us at home. She took us, we would sometimes be the only kids at weddings, the only kids at the opening of movie premieres, the only things at big parties, and she loved her sons. And she loved us being a part of her life, And I was lucky. I'm definitely a product of my parents and my upbringing, for sure.
For sure, with all your love.
So I've got my artistic side from my dad, because he was a wonderful cartoonist and caricaturist, and I've got the acting and the fashion and the creativity part of it from my mother.
The personality.
Yeah, absolutely. I was very much like my mum. Yeah, she's a spitfire.
What was her name?
Leona Lee.
Leona.
Yeah,
beautiful.
She was gorgeous, stunning looking woman.
Modelling as well.
Yeah, she was stunning looking.
And so then you came over and you pursued...
What happened was my brother was already down boarding at Waverley College.
Yes.
And just Mum started to realise that all the boys were going. My brother Adrian died in New Guinea when he was a baby.
Oh.
And then Mum started to realise that all the boys would be slowly coming down to Sydney to boarding school, and Mum hated the idea that she would see us only once a year. And she'd already been there 17 years. My dad had been there 25 years by this time, and it was 1965 when the natives were getting restless. Some break and entry and things that had never happened before. Beautiful life up there, you know. And then Mum just said, I can't stand the idea of not seeing the boys, so she said, I'm going to move back to Sydney, and just said to Dad, do what you want to do, basically. And then eventually he moved back down too. And they bought an apartment in Tamarama.
Tamarama.
And then I started back.
You went to Waverley?
I went to Waverley, and then all my brothers went to Waverley too. Yep.
Good old Waverley College.
And then what happened was that at the end of it all, you know, in sixth form, year 12, I said to my fabulous art teacher, he said to me, what do you want to do? And I said, well, you know, I was sort of thinking about doing acting, right? But I didn't want to work in a bar and drive a taxi and wait for one job a year. And then I thought, well, I'd like to do costume design, you know, something to do with cinema or film or whatever, theatre. And he said, well, there is a design school. I know the guy who ran a Ross Day in those days.
Yes.
So he made an appointment with me to go and see him. And in those days also it was very expensive. And Mum had sent all her boys through private school. So I said, you know, this is my deal. And so I started doing the part-time dress design course in 1973.
1973.
So I'd have a pattern making sewing over at Randwick Tech, and then at East Sydney Tech we'd have Monday design, Tuesday drawing.
And you mentioned Ross Day.
Ross Day, yeah.
How there was a part where he noticed your passion and your talent with illustration. How did he change the course of your life?
That.
Yeah. How did he change it?
As a head of the school, we had never heard of that school.
Yes.
Right? It was almost like his little empire that he never spread the word about. Right? And then, you know, I started the following year, 1974, Gough Whitlam got in. Okay. Put in tertiary allowance, which gave me the ability to afford to go there. And so I started there in 1974 as a full-time student. We started with 60 students. By 1976, the last year, there was 11 left. Out of the 60, it was a really tough course to do. Wow. Yeah. And then, so what happened was, being extroverted and, knowing what I wanted, I'd sort of, even though I was a student, I had a lot to do with the mechanics. Yes. Of what
got involved.
I got very involved. And then, so what happened was, when I had no idea that because we thought, he knew I was a film nut. So I'd arrive at college of a day, and then he'd call me into his office and ask me film questions. Name 10 characters in Gone with the Wind and who played them. And then I'd go, pop, 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 and he'd go, get out, right? Things like that. So we had this sort of a love-hate relationship. And then when I left, and I was working as a designer, I started working at Q as a designer, and then I was working, and then he rang me one day out of the blue. At Q Design? Well, he rang me, he just rang me and he said, and I heard him say, oh, hi, Nicholas, it's Ross Day here. I said, oh, hi, Ross. So I kept on going to all the shows, like being back at college, cracking the whip with the students. And so, I was all part of it. And then what happened was he rang me and I heard him say, oh, it's Nicholas, it's Ross Day here. And I said, hi, Ross. I said, what's going on? He went, then I heard him go, I think I maybe could regret this, but he said, I think you'd be a really good teacher. And I'm thinking, would you like to come back and start doing some part-time teaching, illustration teaching? Illustration, and I went, I had never thought about it. But it was really funny because I remember when I was in first year, and in those days there was no answering machines, there was just a phone would ring, right? Yeah. And the phone was ringing in his office, at the top of the stairs. Yeah, I know. And I'm looking like this phone went rang, rang, rang. So I actually sat down at his desk, took the phone and was writing the message down, and he walked in. And he went, what do you think you're doing? He went, you haven't got this job yet? I'm like, wow, I'd only been there for about 2 months or something. Yeah, I was like, what, serious? And anyway, so I came back as a part-time teacher, and then I got more hours and more hours, more subjects. And then that was 1970, beginning of 1979. And then in 1984, a full-time position came up. I went for it, I got it, and which gave me the power to do things, right? And then 1990, the head of school came up and I went for it and I got it, which was the first time I was able to take it all out of the cell block theatre.
Because this is when you went to Delhi. You went to Delhi in the 1990s, involved
after I became the head, right, then I started to get invited to all these conferences around the world.
Yes.
Fashion conferences, which I went to.
Hong Kong, London.
Everywhere, Buenos Aires, I went everywhere, right? And it was all about, to me it was about promoting Fashion Design Studio and promoting the students and the talent.
Yeah, the innovation.
Right, that I knew that they were very talented.
Yes.
And then, so I did all that, and then eventually I went on a trip with a best friend to, we went to Hong Kong and Guangzhou to buy fabrics for her business. And then I thought, wow, I could do this with the students, right? Because the finding great fabric here was getting very dire.
Yes.
And a lot of places were closing down.
Yeah.
And so that's what I decided to do. I decided to take the students, the final year students, in the Easter holidays and I added India to it. So we would go to Hong Kong, Guangzhou and then India to buy all their fabrics for their collections. And,
it's an incredible experience. Opening them up. Yeah.
Steph, in the days at East Sydney Tech, I just couldn't. We were having so much fun teaching it that I used to say to Anne Normwell.
And I saw her the other night.
I know, I used to say to her, my God, can you believe we're getting paid for this?
Yeah.
Because we were having so much
fun. Yeah.
And when you're doing something that you love doing and you're having so much fun with it, right? And like, I never felt like I'm
above us.
Above you.
Yeah, you were friends.
There was never a hierarchy. I was always there with you guys,
Yes.
having fun with you, laughing with you. And any time teacher would start bitching about students, they'd go, well, I don't know why we're bitching to you about them because you always support them more than us, right? Because I always thought they had issues. The students are always learning. This is all a new thing for them.
Yeah.
And, so it's all been a fabulous progression.
And Maury Pearson, head of TAFE New South Wales, saw the potential in you. Do you want to talk about that? She was the head of New South Wales at that time.
No, I had dinner with Maury 2 weeks ago.
Did you?
Maury and I are best friends. And it's really big.
Sorry, Maury, for the pronunciation.
Yeah, Maury Pearson, gorgeous woman, and Debbie Gunn, they were both managers. And we stayed best friends. And actually, the other night, they came over to meet my place for a drink, and we went out for dinner. And I see them as much as I can. And she said, it's really amazing. We were talking about, she said, you have no idea the bitching that I got from people because of all the conferences you went to around the world.
Yes.
She said they would bitch and bitch and bitch. And then she said, my response was, if you brought in millions and millions of dollars worth of media attention and PR that he does, I'd sign your conference papers too. She said that I could never give you money or anything, but I could always sign those
opportunities.
conferences. Because she said you just brought in so much. Remember, I was a semi-regular on mornings with Kerry Ann.
Yes.
And so she realised that what I was doing was a fabulous thing for TAFE.
Bringing attention to TAFE New South Wales.
And I spread the word all over the world.
Yes.
All over the world.
Yes.
And then, of course, what happened was TAFE Fashion Design Studio was always voted in the 1 to 10 or 1 to 20 top design schools in the world.
Yes.
And that's because I would take the product overseas and show everybody how talented these kids were.
Well, I want to go to the talent that were emerging back when we were, I was there, and now are worldwide designers now. So I saw you a few nights, Tuesday night at FDS
Innovative
25 years celebration. Let's go to the conversation with Simon Locke. I worked with Simon Locke. You were noticing with him how 80% of the Mercedes Australian Fashion Week back then was from TAFE New South Wales.
Well, I was on the first board to talk about doing Fashion Week. And, Simon knew me, I knew Simon, not really well, but in the industry sort of thing. And so he had a lovely, an array of different personalities and business-minded people, whatever, to try and formulate Fashion Week. And then it all started, And then I was there, and I would, we'd get the schedule in the beginning, and I'd circle all the graduates.
Yes.
Right? And I'd send it to him, and I'd go, look at this. I said, this is so fabulous. You realise that these are my students.
Yes.
Are the future of the fashion industry. Look at this, look at this, look at this. And he's going, yeah, it's wild, isn't it? And I said, you know what you need to do? You need to do a student show.
Student show, yeah.
Of the new and up and coming.
What year was this, do you think?
28, it was 1998.
I felt so, yeah.
And he said, oh, well, no, it's not about the students, it's about the commercial environment, money making, buyers and all this sort of stuff. I said, yeah, but what a great show that would be. I said you'd find innovative, creative talent that would really be different to everyone else who's already established or whatever. And he started to think about it, and then when I brought it up the following year, he said to me, contacted me and said, let's do it. He saw the product. He saw the product. He said, this sounds like it's going to be great. Let's do it, right? And so, we picked the designers who I thought were appropriate, and people who...
Do you remember who were the first ones? I can't remember. Yeah.
I know Romance was born.
Yeah,
there was a few, Anna Plunkett, there was a few that I was umming and ahhing about, but I remember Anna. I remember in those days it was all very, there were people like Laura Washington who went on to now is head teacher at Fashion Design Studio, and there was Cameron Dunlop. A lot of people. Cameron Dunlop now is a brain surgeon sort of thing, like bringing people go in a certain different direction. But it was such a fabulous show, and it was packed. And Simon basically said, "You're on. We'll do this forever." It was so fabulous.
25 years.
It got a lot of media attention, and it just took off from there. And it was only later on that I actually called it the Innovators. So in the beginning, we didn't have a name for it. It was the Fashion Design Studio Graduate Show.
Yes.
And then later on, we called it the Innovators. Right?
We've got some music happening now, Nick.
As I told you, this is Fashion Week.
We are at Fashion Week right now with this interview.
Yeah.
Well, you've been a very big part of people like Akira, Nikki Zimmerman, Lisa Ho. What are some of your fondest memories back then with them coming through? Do you remember? Like, is there a cool memory you can share with Nikki or Akira?
Well, you know what I got? Isn't it funny? There was a group of students, and that was 1986. Nikki started in 1986, finished in 1989. There was a group of students who, in one class, I clicked with, and Nikki was one of them. Sonia Hopkins, Valerie Young, Craig Green. There was a group of them, and we ended up partying a lot, going out laughing, or going to Sonia's place, or getting dressed to go to the Contro Ball or whatever.
Yeah.
And we had so much fun. We'd go horse riding away for 3 days, and we just had so much fun.
Mate.
Nikki Andrews would come along sometimes, and all that. And they were very, very fond memories. I mean, you know, when you start the day and you laugh all day, and the end result of all that is that they're doing beautiful work, you know, you can't ask for anything more than that. You know, so I mean, my memories right from the beginning have been very, very, very special. It changed a lot when we left East Sydney Tech and went to
Ultimo.
Yeah. East Sydney Tech was all about art.
Yeah.
You know, the smell of the ceramics and the
Just
painting,
the building,
and as we used to call them, the fabulous baker boys.
Yes.
And you know, it was all very. There was something very, you know, textural about being a creativeness about it all. Even in all the different fields, there was a creative feeling to it. And when we ended up, and Murray Person was the one who let up the fashion design studio move to Ultimo and have Harris Street.
Yes.
Because, you know, they wanted me to go out to Enmore, and I went out there to have a look, and I said, listen here, a hot pink wall does not make a design centre. I said, I don't want my students looking out windows and seeing washing on a line, right? And then I said, if you want us to move, I'll move to Ultimo if we're on Harris Street.
Yep.
And she said yes. So they fixed the whole building up.
And in 2015, you were invited to set up in Miami Fashion Institute. How was this as a
what
new
happened
pathway?
in 2015, I had met this fabulous woman named Ellen Whitney Knight, who owns Fiji Fashion. And she asked me to come over to Fiji Fashion Week as an international guest. And I was like, why not? I thought, what is this going to be like? Fiji Fashion Week, really? Anyway, went over, ended up doing helping her a lot, and loved it. It's like going home after being brought up in New Guinea. And then...
You would have brought about a lot of memories.
It's just lovely, you know. And then, so I was doing that over the holidays in 2015. And then I was asked to host some educators from Miami, which I was asked to do a lot. International educators who come over to visit us. And there was the guy who was the president of Miami-Dade College, which is the second largest educational system in America, and 198,000 students. And he gave me his card at the end of it all. And he'd already been in London looking for somebody. He didn't want an American. I had no idea what he was doing. And then that was August, and then and it was early December. Anne was working in the higher education unit and came over to me. And she said, come to your office. And I went, what? And she said, you know those people from Miami? And I went, yeah. And I said, Dr. Pedro, very sweet. She said, he wants you to come over to Miami and do the whole of the Miami Fashion Institute. She said, you? Right? And I went, really? She said, he's asked for you. And I went, great. She said, are you going to do it? I said, absolutely. Yeah. She said, you don't know anyone. I said, I don't care. All right? So I took... Because I was owed a year.
Seize the opportunity.
Well, I was owed a year and a half.
You had long service leave.
I had long service leave. Yeah. And so I thought I can take this on. So I took, it was 9 months originally, and it was extended to a year. So I took that year off TAFE, went over, basically set the whole thing up, had a ball. And so I had an opportunity. Then Ellen was like, fabulous. You've got Fiji happening. I went to work with a Maasai in Africa, which was just a wonderful experience. I lived over there for a while. And then I started to work a lot more in Fiji, for the first half of the year, which I'm still doing, just loving it. And a whole different world opened up to me.
And you had an exhibition as well.
Yeah, I paint too, you know all that. So I've had a few exhibitions and all that. I've done that for fun. I never did that to make money. I did it for fun. People have seen my work and said, I want to have an exhibition of it. So yeah, it's been great. I've got a very blessed life.
Very blessed life.
Anne hates that word blessed.
I love the word.
She said it makes people feel like they're a lot better than other people. I said no.
Oh, I love it.
I said the reality is, I have been blessed.
Yes.
I have been blessed. I've been blessed with a lot of things, and I'm very lucky.
You say life is what you make it, and it's all about attitude.
Attitude, absolutely.
Yeah, I love that.
I can hear people whinging, carrying on, and I go, you know what? You're the one who turns the light on and turns it off, right? Yeah. You're the one who makes things happen. Don't sit around for everyone else to try and make it happen for you. Make it happen.
I mean, you even had experience with Betty Davis.
I did a portrait of Betty and met her when she came out here and gave her the portrait.
And Zsa Gabor.
I made her an outfit. I've made Nicole Kidman an outfit.
Nicole Kidman.
Oh, I know. I'm a movie nut, so, and they're just normal people.
Yeah.
They're just they're people, they're stars because of us, the public.
Tell me, is there anything you dream up now to think that coming of age now, is there anything you're dreaming up?
Well, it's really funny because I'm just sitting with Patty Huntington, who's a great friend of mine. And she was talking about me starting a consultancy business. I said, you know what? I said, all that's fine, except I don't want to be the person who starts it. I said, I need an agent. I'm a bit lazy like that.
Yeah.
I like things to come to me and then I'll do them.
An opportunity.
Well, what I was saying was watching the Indigenous show last night.
Yes.
I would like to give my time to help them with design. Right? In Australia, well, not really. They're probably the last designer, which I just think they've got the talent like everyone else, but they need the education.
Yes.
They need design education, and no one's doing it. No one is actually sitting there with them and teaching them the elements and principles of design so that they can take their beautiful fabrics into wonderful detailing and such. It's something that I've been thinking about that I'd like to do too, like what I'm doing in Fiji.
Fiji, yeah.
Exactly the same.
Tell us a little bit about what you're doing in Fiji.
Well,
that sounds extraordinary.
I go because there's never been a design school there.
Yes.
So I go over and mentor all the emerging designers, people who are interested in possibly getting in industry, doing Fiji Fashion Week, all that sort of stuff. So I have workshops with them and we go through everything, and then I get them to bring fabric swatches in, and then we do coloured groupings and then create ranges around it and all. It's fabulous.
Are you still based between Fiji and Sydney?
Yeah, and it's only the first half of the year. Fiji
Yeah.
Fashion Week's the end of May,
Okay.
1st of June. So I'm there in and out first part of the year.
So you still got time here
And then,
for something else?
and then I get back during the third, second, and then I'm off to Europe for 3 months during the fourth.
Okay.
I travel the world because I'm allowed to.
You're allowed to. Well,
I'm
you haven't
allowed
had
to.
children of your own, but you say that you have many children.
I have a great life, exactly.
Yeah.
I just get out and do the world.
Yeah.
I do a lot of travelling and I love it. I love travelling.
I would say that you love what you do,
I
for the
do.
love of it,
I do not know why anyone would spend their life doing something they don't like.
or love.
When I hear people say, it's a wage, I'm like, seriously? This is your chance to enjoy your life. It's a wage, you know? So I am lucky that it was a roller coaster for me.
Do you think your parents...
Ross stayed ringing me to say, I think you'd be a good teacher. Me loving it, becoming a full-time teacher, becoming the head teacher. It was a roller coaster.
You've had many pathways.
And it all was like one thing happened after another, after another, after another, and it just fell into place. I never went out of my
And
way.
seeked it, yeah.
Seek to get it,
Yes.
to seek it.
I love that,
It was just,
yeah.
it just happened. You know, and I am blessed. That's being
Yes,
blessed.
yes.
That happens to you.
Yes.
You know, and you know what I'm blessed in? I'm blessed that I'm honest and direct, and I
Yes.
shoot from the hip,
Yes.
and I don't deal with crap.
Yes.
Right? Because, you know, in the fashion industry, it can be the toughest industry in the world, full of a lot of synthetic people, superficial people. People know where I stand, right? And that's worked well for me.
Yes.
You know, I've been honoured with a lot of awards and things, you know, like...
I was going to talk about, you've been
Just-
honoured with a lot of awards. Tell
Just-
us about one of the favourite
Well,
moments
no,
for you.
my
Yeah.
favourite story is being nominated for the Fashion Laureate 9 times and never winning.
So there was a funny moment with one of the awards, with Akira being in Paris.
The first
Yeah.
fashion laureate,
Yeah.
and he said to me, he was nominated, I was nominated. It was the first year of it. It was a beautiful do. It was at Government House, and you know, I think Jason Brunson was nominated too, and it was me.
remember him, yeah.
Who else? Can't remember. But anyway, what happened was he'd said to me, I'm going to be in Paris, and if I win, can you accept my award for me? And of course, he'd been my student, and he won. And of course, there's me up there with the award, in all the press and all the media attention and all that sort of stuff. And yeah, so it was actually a really, really fun night. And then about a year, the next year, I got to give it to him at Fashion Week. There was a lovely cocktail party, and I gave him his award. Yeah, and over the years of my 9 nominations, a lot of ex-students have won
Yes.
and left me as a bridesmaid. But you know what? I always love being nominated because it keeps you relevant.
It does.
And the fact that 9 times no one has ever come near that many nominations.
And you've got a lot of awards as
And
well.
I've got a lovely other fashion awards. You know, I've got the plaque at the intersection in Paddington and all. Yeah, look, it's all part of the deal. You know, when you're true to yourself and you don't play the game. I've never played the game, right? I'm a very good example of what being honest can come back as a really good thing.
Yeah.
You know, really good.
Staying true to your-
staying
to
true
your
to who
heart
I am,
and
my
your
personality,
values.
my character,
Yeah.
my values, my honesty, and I've had a very successful career because of it.
And long-
And I'm still
yeah.
here after 28 years.
Yeah.
I'm still turning up at Fashion Week. One of the very, very few who is here now from the first one. I was thinking about that the other day.
I was thinking about that when I was
Isn't it
here.
sad that
Yeah.
none of the fashion industry stalwarts of before ever come anymore? Nobody turns up, and it's so sad.
Yeah.
Because this place, you know, it should be supported. And I don't want to look around and suddenly see all these people. I have no idea who they are. You remember, all the front row years ago was all celebrities.
I remember.
All celebrities. Kate Blanchett, Nobody
It's not
now.
the same.
Nobody.
Yeah.
It's a shame.
Yeah.
So something's got to be done.
What would you share your wisdom and
or your mentoring to someone that is wanting to go and pursue fashion at the moment? What would your
That's interesting, because I remember last year there was a label and great technique, great texturing, right? So fabulous fabrication, but no idea how to put it into beautiful garments. That raw roughness of the fabric went into raw, rough garments. So I would love to be able to show them how to put that into something really exclusive and beautiful, right? So that there's a lovely package deal that goes together really beautifully. There was a lot of that last year, a lot of raw naivety without fashion knowledge. And then I was very serious about it last year. I thought, wow, God, this could be so beautiful if they knew how to do it well. I went to Injury this morning. That was by far the best show of the week for me. It was so polished, like so dynamic, beautiful visuals. The clothes were very young but funky and tough and really beautifully made. A lot of rawness, but then with a beautifully tailored leather jacket to balance it all, you know. And, you know, I wish that Fashion Week was like that all week.
And it's about the music, it's about the models.
Production, it's about everything.
It is a production.
It's about everything. You know, they're spending a lot of money.
Yes.
They're spending a lot of money. So to me, it's like, this is your chance to climb that staircase. You know, and it can be very frustrating. For me, I mean, I'm blessed because I was in a classroom surrounded by innovative, creative people, seeing fabulous garments. So when I used to come to this, it was all so commercial that it seemed a bit blah to me.
I remember you sharing that, you know, if you're coming to Fashion Week, make it a performance and then at the end show you're ready to wear.
Yeah, I used to say even then, you know, like nowadays they do 8 garments, 8 bodies, the kids, the students,
yes,
right, in their final garment. I think to myself, do 4 outrageously fabulous, and then show that you have the talent to do the other 4 adapted into more commercially. To show that they're not just silly people who have no idea about the commerciality of the fashion industry. Yeah. You know? Interesting, huh? The things that you see on the outside looking in.
Yes.
There you go.
It's been so beautiful talking to you.
Oh, thank you. It's been lovely talking to you.
I brought something very special from my past, if I can find it. Here it is.
Oh my God.
Where is it? You wrote a reference for me, Nicholas. Did I bring it? I'm not going to have it. Here it is.
You could have pretended.
I know.
You could have pretended.
So, I don't know if we're going to put this in the interview, but I just wanted to personally say to you, I came to you when I was in year 12 to study illustration.
Yeah.
Part-time at night.
Monday nights.
While I was doing my HSC.
Monday nights, yes, I remember.
I remember seeing your illustrations on the wall and just being so inspired by your illustrations that I came back straight out of school, fresh out of school.
I didn't scare you?
You did scare me. And it's quite a scary school to start off at a young age.
Yeah, it was tough to get into too.
And it's very tough. And I got in. I got into full time. And I think I lasted a year, but then you came to me, got me in your office, and you said to me, Steph, I think that you have all these, you know,
things you want to do.
Things you want to do.
Yeah,
and you said,
this is holding you back.
You said, go
I remember
out
that.
in the industry.
I remember that.
And you said,
learn on the job.
Yeah. And I went on to work for Spin
And
Communications.
and you know what? You have to, that's a part of being honest.
Yeah.
You have to, it's not like filling seats. You know, I'm there at the beginning of someone's career. If I can see that they need to work out there instead of being here for 3 years, I'll tell them.
Yeah.
They have the option to say, no, I want to stay here, or think about the professionalism and maybe go out there. And now who would know all these years later you're interviewing me?
And I'm interviewing you. It just feels
wild,
like
isn't
a
it?
full circle. Because
It's
I
wild.
did go on to have my own clothing label, but I had so much experience in the industry thanks to you. So
well, you know,
thank
I was lucky that when I left Waverley in 1973, I was working as an assistant cutter during the day.
I've done that job.
For the whole year, right? And I learned so much about the fashion industry, or we call it the rag trade, in those days, right? And do college at night.
Yes.
That when I arrived as a full-time student, I knew so much about the industry.
Yes.
You know, those cutters would involve me in everything, right? And I just knew so much that everybody else who started in the class didn't know anything about. How the buttons being dyed, and choosing the buttons, and cutting the fabrics, and doing everything, and grading.
much,
It was
yeah.
so fabulous, and everything was done in one building. It was so fabulous, and so I arrived really knowing the industry really, really well. I felt like I already had a step up.
Well, I feel like thanks to you, I learned about styling, makeup, production,
Yeah,
PR,
can be a lot of fun,
communications,
can it?
and I had the best fun. I feel very blessed.
Attitude. It's been wonderful,
so
wonderful.
much.
My pleasure.
Thank you. Thanks to Nicholas Huxley for joining us today on For the Love of It, TAFE New South Wales sessions.
Bye.
Thank you.